Hi everyone, today we're going to do some calligraphy tips and little how-tos using Marvy Uchida's Bistro chalk markers and a small chalkboard. So if you're not able to freehand letter or do calligraphy at all, I encourage you to practice and get better at it, or you can use a guide or find a font you like and use that to write your word out and use that as your inspiration. So using the fine point Bistro chalk markers, I'm going to write the word autumn across this board and then teach you some tricks for making your letters neat and just some of the calligraphy tips. So we're gonna just write out autumn across this chalkboard. All right, so that is the first pass. And then going back in, this dries pretty fast. Going back in, we're going to thicken the areas of a downstroke and then leave the upstroke parts more thin to give it that more modern calligraphy look. So for that, here we went down on the A, so we're gonna make that part a little bit thicker. And as you're thickening up the lines, you can kind of clean up any other areas of the words where maybe you didn't draw the line quite as straight. And then we're gonna leave the upstroke part a little thinner, and then we're going down here again. So this part we're gonna make a little bit thicker. And then this was another upstroke, so this is gonna be a thin one. And you don't have to make parts of the letters thinner versus thicker. It's just kind of the style of calligraphy that you think looks good. I personally like, and I'm just kind of used to hand lettering where the downstrokes are a little bit thicker. But if this is all the same thickness, it's not a big deal. It'll still work out. So this is another down. And then our T, we'll make the stem of it thicker. And with calligraphy, you can get as creative and flourishy as you want. So flourishes are gonna be the way you kind of carry out your letters. So this is a small flourish. The T here has the curvature to the cross. Some people you'll see, flourishes all wrapped around each word. This is pretty minimal. But as you learn calligraphy and you practice more, you'll see how you can add those and what places you can add those in on each letter. So the ends of these ones I made more rounded, and then more tapered in the middle. And then we're going up here again, so that part's gonna be thinner. Anywhere you do smudge, I can see right here must have not been quite dry in either of these. That just easily comes off with water afterwards, so we'll touch that up. Thicker on the down. And here too, you can get creative with your letters. So the M, I like to do my first hump on that one a little bit taller, and then going down with a little bit more of a gradual one for the second. And when you're first learning, it's best to start with a light hand, especially when you're doing the upstrokes. If you're pushing a little bit too hard, it makes it difficult to actually get that upstroke thin enough. The other part is if you're pushing too hard with the chalk markers, similar to a paint marker, if you push the nib inward, you're gonna have the chalk ink come out and you're gonna end up with a little bit of a puddle of chalk liquid on your board, which you don't want that either. So best to keep a light hand when you're learning calligraphy. So here is the finished word autumn. And you would just go back in with a little wet paper toweling or a Q-tip with some water on it and just fix those little areas where it's smudged. And that is the finished chalkboard. So here you can kind of see that was smudged there, but it doesn't bother me too much. Personally, I like the look of a chalkboard that has some of the kind of the smudged look on it, gives it more character. You can use even chalk pencils to give it more character and add. It just kind of makes the chalkboard look more used and not like it's a brand new sign. I like the look of the old slave chalkboards too, so that's basically what that would do more of. Yeah, that is it using the fine point Bistro chalk marker in white. They come in multiple colors, so you could easily add some browns, oranges, yellows to go with the autumn theme to this chalkboard. But today we just used the whites, and this is a quick calligraphy lesson and a little how-to. Thank you.